Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk some boxing news and we're also going to touch in again on the weekend's boxing action. I did make a video yesterday immediately after the Prograis fight and the Duarte fight, but we're going to touch in again on it today. Yesterday's video was only a short one, so let's get into it. Alright, let's get into the news. Lots of news came out, particularly about some of the interviews at the Golden Boy event on the weekend. Some of those news included Oscar De La Hoya talking about the possibility of Virgil Ortiz versus Jerome Boots Ennis next year. Yeah, I mean, it's a good fight. Honestly, Jerome Boots Ennis, for me, even though he's not fought yet at super welterweight, almost can get his pick of who he wants to fight. He's a big name and a big draw for any of those guys. The only thing is, I do worry about... I think Virgil Ortiz would fight Jerome Boots Ennis. The other champions, Xander Zayas, would probably give it a go. I'm not sure whether Barker Murtazaliev or Sebastian Fundora, without a mandatory, would take that challenge, because Jerome Boots Ennis is such an incredible fighter. I think he can really take any of those belts he wants. But I would put Xander Zayas and Virgil Ortiz as probably the best in that division, followed by Barker and followed by Fundora. We've seen Fundora skip out on fights. We've seen Barker and Murtazaliev. He hasn't fought in ages. He claims it's because nobody wants to fight him. I'm not sure whether that's true or whether he's... what's going on there. We know Virgil Ortiz, he's there to fight. I thought he fought very, very well against Israel Madrimov, especially when you consider the way in which Terence Crawford fought Madrimov, and then you saw how Virgil Ortiz fought Madrimov. I thought Virgil Ortiz actually performed better against Madrimov than what Terence Crawford did, although Terence Crawford made relatively good work of it and got the win anyway. But I think Jerome Boots Ennis, I honestly thought that he was going to get sort of a warm-up fight. Well, not even a warm-up fight, but a pre-fight before he gets directly thrown into a title fight. I did think that they were going to put him in at least one, whether that's a title eliminator or just someone in the top 10 of any of the governing bodies. There was that talk about him taking on Josh Kelly. I think it'll come down to what he's offered, not only in money, but in... if he gets the opportunity for a belt, he's taking the belt fight rather than a title eliminator. And I think it's a good fight for any promoter to get. I just worry that some of their fighters may not be so keen, knowing the skill and talent of Jerome Boots Ennis. Let's talk about Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero, because this is a quote that came out as well from Oscar De La Hoya. I'll read it out. No, I actually don't like the idea of Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero rematch. The first fight was a dull fight. I believe there's other big fights we can make with the likes of Teofimo, Lopez, and other fighters. Yeah, I do agree with that. The first fight was shit. I honestly don't see any way in which Ryan Garcia can change himself to become a favorite going into that fight. There was nothing in the course of 12 rounds that we thought, oh, you know, like in the 11th or 12th round, we see Ryan Garcia do something different and say, you know what, if they fought this again and he goes at it like he did in the 11th and 12th round, I think he's got a very good chance of winning this fight. We didn't see any of that. He got dropped early and did nothing for the rest of the fight, lost comfortably, and I didn't see anything that told me there is something in there that you can take from that fight. Look, if he... There's been multiple quotes. We know he had surgery after this. We know that he said he didn't train for it. But even if he did train for it, I still don't see what tactically he would have changed. Maybe his stamina and stuff would have changed, but I don't believe his tactical awareness, his skill set would have changed. I do believe he would have fought the same fight. For me, it was the activity. He knew he was down and he didn't switch a gear. He didn't risk losing the fight worse in order to win it, if that makes sense. And for me, he spent 12 rounds waiting to hit a left hook that never came, and didn't try to make it happen either. So I don't want to see it, but the big thing is Ryan Garcia, I think, wants the rematch. We know there's that dispute between him and Oscar De La Hoya. Ryan Garcia has one fight left with Oscar De La Hoya. You know what? Let me see if I can find the quotes, because there was other quotes that I saw the other day about Ryan Garcia talking about him. All right, here, I did find it. Yeah, just filed to exit Golden Boy in court, arguing California's 7-year rule and allegedly contract violations. He claims Golden Boy blocked him from a Japan exhibition and made him pay $120,000 to DAZN to clear his fight with Davis. I'm done, it's business. So we know he wants to get rid of Oscar De La Hoya. I believe that he wants to fight Rolly Romero. I think there is something about the fact that he couldn't beat him in all the reports in sparring, and then on the biggest stage in the world disappoints and gets dropped and loses. I think there is nothing left there apart from just a personal grudge and a distaste in Garcia's mouth that he just wants this one back. I don't see how he gets it back. Maybe if we see a really passionate, riled up Ryan Garcia. We saw a relatively calm one coming into that Rolly fight compared to his normal antics. And I think we need to see that. I think we need to see a bit of a crazy Ryan Garcia, someone that wants to just get in there and knock his head off. I think that's the only way we see Garcia win that fight. I just don't know whether it'll come now, because he's got one contracted fight left with Golden Boy. I don't know who Oscar De La Hoya is going to put him in there with. If he does put him in there with Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo Lopez wins, and Rolly's still a champion, I don't see whenever that fight now gets made. The first fight was dull. Garcia keeps losing. I don't see how it gets made. In my opinion, the second fight can't be any worse than the first one. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing it. If you were to make a card and, or not even make a card, if you threw Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia on the undercard of Ring 4, I think not only would that card become more stacked, but you wouldn't be so reliant on that fight performance. If that fight was dull on Ring 4, there's so much left on that card that'll save the card. You can put that to bed and no one will have a distaste left in their mouth. The way in which it headlined following disappointing fights at Times Square, that left a big distaste. I think you put that in at disappoints, but then Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney go in an absolute war. That's the headline. Dismiss the disappointment, and everybody moves on, in my opinion. I don't think there's any way you could sell Garcia Romero to headlining on any card because of how shit the first one was. It'd almost be like trying to sell Canelo versus Skull. No one fucking cares. No one wants that. It was shit. Leave it alone. This fight got announced, which I was surprised considering we had just seen Reece Bellotti, what was that, last weekend, 7 days ago, fight. But Reece Bellotti will be taking on Josh Padley on October 11th. I do believe it's the undercard and the co-main of Josh Allen versus Arslanbek Makhmudov. That's that Matchroom boxing card. That is a good fight. I think that's a very good fight. It'll be another sort of level raiser for Josh Padley. We'll see how good he is, because Reece Bellotti is a very, very good fighter. Don't get that wrong. The fight he put on against Ryan Garner was impressive. Yes, he lost comfortably, but if you watch the fight, scorecards didn't reflect how competitive Reece Bellotti was in that fight. I thought he was very good, just off. Like if you watch that fight, he was just slower. He was just not as powerful. He was just not as active, and it lost him every single round. But he fought very well against Ryan Garner, and Josh Padley will have to fight very well to beat him. I think it'll be a competitive fight. I think it'll be a very competitive fight. and I think it'll show us how good Josh Padley is. I thought he fought well against Shakur Stevenson, not as well as some people think. I think he showed a lot of heart. I think he showed a lot of character, but in terms of skill set and competitiveness, it wasn't there. I don't think it wasn't there. I've watched that fight twice or three times now. Shakur won that. I know lots of the talk after it was that Shakur took too long to get him out of there, and we know the criticism Shakur Stevenson gets, but Josh Padley, it was a good moment for him. He went 7 or 8 rounds with Shakur Stevenson after, like, on 24 hours notice 2 days ago before the fight. He was installing solar panels or something. We all know that, but it wasn't that competitive. But it'll be a good fight. I think I tipped Josh Padley. I do think I saw enough of him in Shakur. And who did he even fight last? I can't even remember the guy's name. That was really poor for me. But whoever he fought last, he put in a very good performance in that one as well. All right, let's quickly touch back in on Regis Prograis. Now, he took on Jojo Diaz. That fight is spectacular. If you haven't watched it, and you've got a DAZN subscription, definitely get on and watch that fight replay. It's a great fight. I think it'll go into contention for Fight of the Year at the end of the year. Regis Prograis, I thought, fought. It's hard to say exceptional because he made constant errors. If you talk about just his pure offense, it was spectacular. It was stunning. Honestly, his speed, his power, his precision was excellent, on point, fantastic. His defense, it was awful. Honestly, it was dreadful defense. It made for a very good fight, though. He cuts Jojo Diaz on the left eye in the second round or the third round it was in the third round. It was in the third round, about a minute left, because I remember thinking to myself, I hope they don't stop this because there's only 30 seconds left until it becomes a scorecard fight and not a no result. So he gets the left eye cut, the doctor checks it, the doctor passes him, they go back out there. I think in the end of round 4, the referee for some reason sends Jojo Diaz to get another check. The referee once again was happy. I think the doctor was still happy. The doctor, I thought, was exceptional. The referee kept sending him over there. I don't know why, but the doctor did the right thing and just let him keep continuing. Even in the 11th round, he suffered a second cut on the same eye just above it. And the doctor said, no, just go out and do the last round, which I thought was very well handled by the doctor, not as well handled by the referee, but I guess he looks out for the fighters. He sends him to the doctor. The doctor does the right thing. All protocols are followed and the fight gets continued. But I did think it was a bit unnecessary, the amount of times. It was one of the funniest things ever. I did say about it in yesterday's video, but if you didn't catch that, I'll tell you now. When he first cuts the eye, now this eye bleeds profusely the whole fight. Like, his face is covered in blood. Every round, after about 30 seconds, it gets repainted, basically. But he goes over to the corner and he's talking to the doctor, and the doctor does his normal finger thing where he holds up amount of fingers and says, asks the fighter, how many fingers am I holding up? At first he holds up one finger, Jojo says 2. Then he holds up 2 fingers and Jojo says 1. And then he holds up 1 finger and Jojo says 2 again. Gets none of the answers right. And then the doctor says, yep, you're right to go. Going out there. Now, I might be fucking stupid, but what was the point of that test? What? It was funny as I couldn't believe it. When he got all the questions wrong, I was like, oh, this doctor's going to stop this. And he's like, no, you're all good. I was like, what are you asking these questions for if they mean piss all and you're just going to send him back out there? Just clean the cut up, look at it, say you're all good. I didn't make any sense of that. It just makes you look a little bit worse, not doing your job properly. I was like, don't ask the questions if you're not going to listen to his response. Maybe there's a, if you're 1 finger off, it's fine. If I'm holding up 1 and you're holding up 4, that's a problem. If I'm holding up 5 and you say 0, then that's a problem. 1 and 2 can look very similar. I don't know, but I thought it was fucking hilarious. Jojo Diaz, for being cut in the eye, he had to change his game plan. Became almost a power hitter. Just trying to shell himself, get in close, press him, and throw wild overhands and hooks, trying to land one. And credit to Jojo Diaz, because he didn't land 1. He landed probably 6 or 7. There was a few rounds there where Prograis basically dominated, and then right in the last 30 seconds, eats one and wobbles and Doesn't go down any points, but looks rocked various points. And I thought, this is going to make the decision very, very close. The decision ended up being unanimous. I'm just trying to remember what the scores were. I think it was 98-92, 96-94, 96-94. I could be wrong, but that's about it. Because two of the judges gave it very, very close, and one judge gave it really wide to Progress, which wasn't fair at all. It was no doubt 96-94, if not 95-95. I don't think Diaz won, but he did enough to not lose, I think. But Jojo, he'll get another fight after that, which is good. He put up a performance. Any person will be happy to put him on a card. Former champion, entertains, very good. Regis Prograis, now what is he, 36? I'm not sure what he does next. There's a lot to work on. He comes up against a better skilled offensive fighter, and I think he goes to sleep. He can't stand there for 12 rounds, attacking as much as he does, leaving his hands down and just chin up, just looking around, because you're going to get clipped. You're going to get destroyed. Let's talk about Oscar Duarte versus Kenneth Sims Jr. Now, this fight, it was basically even, if I remember correctly, on the odds makers. Kenneth Sims with the slight advantage, but it was relatively even. But they were fighting in Chicago, and the hype was around Kenneth Sims. Let's be honest. The hype was around Kenneth Sims. Kenneth Sims was supposed to win that fight, which he didn't. He didn't win that fight. I don't believe in any way he got close to winning that fight. I thought he fought okay. I mean, to say, sorry, you know what, that's harsh. He was competitive. He was very competitive, but if they gave it to Kenneth Sims, I would have been pissed off. Does that make sense? He did well and competed, but didn't win the fight. So if they'd given it to him or a draw, it would have been a robbery to Duarte, in my opinion. You might think differently. Some of those rounds were very close. If you look at the punch stats, they landed, I think, within one of each other. Duarte landed like one or two more than Sims over the course of the 12 rounds, but Duarte threw hundreds more overall. And it was that pressure. It was that forward pressure, the constant activity, pushing Sims up against the ropes, into the corner, big combinations to the body and to the head, which I think won him that fight. And Kenneth Sims, it was odd because if I was to make a direct comparison, I made this comparison before, that fight reminded me so much. It was super lightweight and reminded me so much of what we just saw between Shakur and Zepeda. Shakur, great counterpuncher, defender, not a power hitter, coming up against someone who's got manic activity and pressure. And Shakur was able to, even though he put himself on the ropes, he knew he could counter and he could get off. And the longer the fight went on, the more he grew into it and the better he became. This fight, Kenneth Sims couldn't do the same off the ropes, but whenever he got into the middle and was able to circulate the ring, he was winning those rounds. He was winning those battles, keeping him off him, using the jab. He didn't have to put heaps of activity in. He just needed to keep moving, keep his hands up, keep throwing some jabs, put in a few combinations, and don't let Duarte get him on the ropes. And he just kept letting him get on the ropes. Look, styles make fights. Maybe Duarte is just the worst person for Kenneth Sims to come up against. He just didn't know how to handle it. Or maybe this was just a learning curve. Look, I give him the benefit of the doubt. He wasn't awful. He just couldn't work him out, and Duarte got the better of him over the course of the fight. I would like to see now Gary Antoine Russell taking on Oscar Duarte. The winner of that fight deserves to fight Gary Antoine Russell. I think he's got the WBA. That's the fight to make. For Kenneth Sims Jr., back to the drawing board. A bit disappointing, but I think there's enough to go off there. There is a fighter there. We've seen him before. We know he can fight well. That style might just be that style, and he couldn't work it out on the night. He'll take a lot of experience from that, grow from it, and I'm sure he'll go back on a winning streak and build himself up back to being heavy title contention. All right, guys, leave all your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe if you are new. So close to 100 subscribers. Let's try and get there today. And I'm out of here, guys. See ya!